We are live, and this is What's in Your Drawers with Jim McCleary at McGolf. Okay, so enough with the masks. I can't do this if we do that. There we go. So we did a little bit of little changing around. I was able to put my logo up in the top now, so we're in pretty good shape. And hopefully everybody is doing well. Everybody's being safe with the COVID crisis that is happening out here. In Ohio, we have said I'm still in the county that is the lowest count that I'm aware of, or if not really, really close to it. The other one is the governor has now mandated everybody wears masks everywhere they go. Well, my other job, I wear it 10 hours a day, so I am not wearing it here for this. So we've got some folks coming in already. Well done. Thank you very much, guys. So I wanted to talk the what's in your drawers, right? What's in your drawer? Brian from Tennessee sent me this. Let's see if I can. There you go. An Exotics 3-wood, a CBX. And it's a tour 3-wood. It's if you can see in the back, there's the T3 right there. And every once in a while, he'll send me some stuff to build. And what's really unique in this one is that we are actually putting the Acra shaft in it, and it's a concept series. It's a series concept 1 or concept series CS1, however you want to call it. And it's an M5, which means it's extra stiff, and it's made in Japan. So there's, every once in a while, a shaft will make it all the way out there, and or from there all the way into here. Now, this shaft is brutishly strong. It's very butts hard. And based on the stuff that I've built Brian before, this is going to work. All right. So to kind of look forward to tomorrow is he wanted me to bend it. All right. He wanted me to bend this thing. And I did. And I go over some of the stuff how to bend a fairway wood, right? That's not done very often, and I have to say it's been a while for me too. But as you can tell, it's got a great finish on it. It's reflecting all the light. It's got the black chrome finish on the bottom. A little bit of I'm not sure if that's not a sticker or if that's a piece of Kevlar or something, and a metal top. So, and of course, logo down, Brian. So there you are with that. So as we get a whole lot of people on here, the other one of the things I want to talk about, because we've been doing a lot of fittings lately, and it was kind of funny in that I was able to do fittings from basically in a week from across the spectrum. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is from guys that were beginning golfers to guys that were single-digit handicaps. And it was, we'd go through the process the same. However, the things that we talk about are very different. And so that's one thing. The other one is when people come into a fitting, some will be all about how far can I hit it? Some people will be how consistently can I hit it? Some people will, can I hit it? All right. And so what we like to do is get you consistently hitting it. And consistently hitting it means that we have to find the right length. And we test for that. And using these clubs back here, all right, we do that. And we find the right length in the irons, the right length in the driver, and the right length in the putter for that matter, in order to get you consistent. Once we get that, then we can build on something. And one of the things that we look at is the quality of hit, which you guys will know it as smash factor. And it is amazing what you can do when the smash factor goes up. All right. And how crucial finding the middle of the face is. Sounds simple, but not necessarily so. And just a case in point, I had a fellow lefty in here, and we had him hitting, and he was into the heel tremendously. Swings fairly stout, just can't get the ball out where it needs to go. And I don't know if it was a down and across, very much cutting across the ball. And you would think, well, if I'm cutting across the ball, I'd be in the toe. Well, he was very much in the heel. I think it was because he was extending his arms. So that's some of the things that we have to consider. So we tested weights, we tested length, we tested the different appearances of things, and we at the same swing speed, he increased a 0.09 in his quality of his hit. So I think when we talk about quality of hit, it's logarithmic. Then an improvement of like 0.00 to 0.03 is like this because it's going to go up. And then 0.03 to 0.06 might be here, and then 0.06 and above is going straight up. So just that little bit of change, getting him up into the high curve part, really set the tone for it, because at the same swing speed, he gained nearly 30 yards. All right. That's how important it can be, right? That's how important that can be. So you really want to make sure you're getting in the middle of the face. So there's my harp on quality of hit. And there's different ways of getting there, right? It could be an instructional move. It could be the weight of the club. It could be the grip size. It could be the way that the angle of the club is. It could be the flex and the way that the toe bends down. There's a multitude of different things. It could be the hitting surface from which you're hitting off of. So that's some of the things that go into a fitting, and why a quality fitting really can make a difference, not only in a person that's just beginning, but a person that's been golfing for quite some time and really is looking for that that extra stroke around, trying to get but going from 75 to 73, going from 73 to 69, going from 80 to 78. Those are the types of things that we look at, and once we know that, we tend to harp on it a little bit. And so that's some of the things that you want to look at when you're getting fit. Okay. And that was the other thing. So tomorrow or the next day, be ready, because the me bending the 3-wood will be a video. So Brian, you're going to see your club getting bent. Don't cringe. The other thing is, in the midst of doing a ton of grips, I think I got another fake. And I got it from the supplier this time. So they're still investigating it. That ought to be interesting to see. So let's do that. All righty. So let's go through all the people in here. Willard from Canton's back. My buddy from Sweden. There he is. Up late. Man, you're my hero. We're in from West Virginia. The sis tells me I got a nice logo. Hey, we got Tennessee, Raleigh. Kevin's back from Scotland. How are you, sir? And so we're good with this. Glenn Fittich. Michigan's in the house. Carroll County, pretty low. Okay, let's see what else we got in here. The sis is in Wisconsin. Let's see. Kurt's got a question for us already. Is there a trick to using the GolfWorks grip shooter? No. So the grip shooter, what he's talking about is basically a canister, albeit plastic or steel, and it's got a screw on top, and it's got a handle on it, and it comes out and it goes over, and a needle sticks out of the end. And what goes down through this handle is a tube that suctions out the solvent. Okay. And so the needle is very, very sharp, and it can create some high pressure. If the grip is very uncooperative, you can virtually blow the grip. However, Kurt, what we're talking about now is if this is my grip and the needle comes in at an angle like this until you feel it hit the shaft, and then I slide it a little bit further in, not very much more, and then I put my finger over the weep hole on the butt, and I just start squirting. And if you've done that, what will happen is it will expand the grip, and you'll see a bubble. and it'll want to work its way towards the end of the grip, the opening, in order to make that happen. Now, if you do it and it expands and it just keeps going, you can actually stretch the grip. So what you want to do is get yourself a chunk of bubble in there, maybe about that long, because it's going to be all solvent, and work it down. Maybe squirt a little bit more, work it down. Squirt a little bit more, work it down. What eventually what's going to happen is just going to go right out the end, and then you can undo it and then you slide it right off. Now, not every grip is going to be very cooperative. I really don't like using them on wind grips or multi-layered grips like the Super Strokes. I don't do them on the big putter grips because it basically destroys the needle, and those needles are not cheap. All right, so regular rubber grips, fine. Multi-compound, fine. All that's good. And I'd say I'm about an 80-20, especially on ones that are old. Now, on the ones that are new, it's a little bit better, but that's about it. All right. I do not, Liz. Actually, I've met the guy a couple of times. He's very stoic, but I do not know where in Japan. All right. Where else we got? Let me get down here a little further. I saw somebody. Here we go. Oh, there's Robin talking to Matt. Matt, I hope you did well. My golf round today this week was terrible. I had 4 lost balls and 2 holes. It was awful. I was not feeling the love, that's for sure. All right, Rob, hopefully you heard some of what we were talking about. If we got it, ask some more. Air Willard's got it. Hot and swamp, dude. It's like that here. We just had a rainstorm ourselves. It was just trying to look out. It's one of those. When you have those rains that it just comes down in buckets, but it's been like 90 degrees. It's like living in Florida, and it comes down, it hits the cement, hits your pavement, and it's wet for a grand total of about 4 minutes, and then it's all gone. So the humidity's got to be a gazillion, right? Gazillion. All right. Jeez, Pete. There we go. Mr. Phil from Edinburgh, thank you for joining us again. Well done, man. In Iowa, Jeff, we're in Iowa. I can tell you that basically my whole family is from there, and on both sides. We lived in Cedar Rapids. Dad lived on the other side near Council Bluffs, and I have family near Spencer. And it just keeps going and going. Atlantic, just a bunch of places. And from the UK, very well. Guys, it's just amazing that you guys tune in. I appreciate it very much. All right, here we go from the UK. When should you not use collared ferrules? Why do you use them? When should you not use them? Do they prevent graphite shaft breakage? Okay. Well, I had pins. All right, so collared ferrules. I've shown you guys collared ferrules, and what it means is you have at the bottom of the ferrule, you have the ferrule that's shaped like that, and on the bottom there's another piece that sticks out, and it's different for different manufacturers. And what that's meant to mate up to in the hosel, we're going to use Brian's stuff here. In the hosel, in this particular area on the inside, there's a seating area where it's just slightly wider where that thing seats in there. All right. And so I'd like to be able to show you. I just don't have one in here with me. So anyway, what that collared piece sits in there, and it sits inside the hosel area, and it helps prevent a shear point. All right. And a shear point is, if you guys working with a lot of graphite, shear points are bad, and shear points create a lot of breakage. And that's the reason why, for the people that are putting them together, the ones that don't take collared ferrules, the insides are curved. Right at the very top, you'll see that they're curved inward, and that's to help not do that. Right. So a lot of people will put that in there. Some people will tell you that it's for holding the shaft in place. Right. When you have taper tipped clubs, they'll use it for that. Some people just believe that's the way they should be designed. But yes, in my opinion, sir, they help shore up the club, right? They help shore up the club. And do they prevent? No, nothing prevents, but does it minimize? Yes. And if you do it right, you hopefully, and because nothing stops a golfer from chopping wood, right? Or hitting out or gets a hosel shot right on the shaft. But if all things created equal and everything's out there, then yes. Now, what I've done in the past when we were kind of tight on ferrules, when you have a few that you have to put together, and that collared ferrule just fits just right, but it doesn't have a collar, what I'll do is I'll take a curved blade from my putting on my grips, that curved utility knife, and I'll cut down in there and I'll scoop all the way around it. Scoops it off clean as a whistle. I used to sand it, but I stumbled onto this thing by accident. Anyway, you spin it around and it just carves it right out, makes it flat. It's ready to go. And it's also coned in some cases so that when the coning on there helps create yet another part where you don't have a shear point. So that's a good thing. So that's what I would do. Now, the unfortunate part is that in order, ferrules are becoming quite personalized, right? And the collared ferrules are pretty much becoming, they're pretty much lacking. And all you see is the regular ones with multiple rings and all the rainbow flavor colors and that kind of stuff. It's hard to find a collared ferrule that is colored and one that will fit too, because TaylorMade has their style, Callaway has their style, Titleist has their style. They all have their, even Mizuno. I don't think Mizuno does, but they all have their own style. All right, and make sure it goes on straight, Rob. Use the level up in Edmonton. Well done. Another one. Absolutely great. Okay. Matt's got one for me. Matt's a teacher. I'm sure you're just getting ready to go back to school or getting ready to do all that virtual stuff. I don't know how you're going to do it, man. I just hope that you do well. All right. Can you describe your favorite club? And you shot a 74 yesterday. 92. Dude, I'm with you. I bet you were soaked to the bone too. So when you get one of those cooling towels, man, and just drape it around your neck in between shots. Well, right now, I'd have to say my favorite club right now, because, as we are all golfers, it's just how they fall in and out. I would have said up until yesterday, my favorite club was probably I'm going to say an iron, okay? And I was equally happy from my 6 down to my pitching wedge. I was hitting them flush, hitting them well, and they were doing what I wanted them to do, although I'm not a worker of the ball, but I can make it go in a direction that I want. And that's pretty much as good as I'm going to get, I think. However, this last time out, I was hitting things thin. I couldn't get the distances I was normally used to getting. I just wasn't hitting them well. And it could be that wasn't my day. And normally I really gravitate towards wedges, but with these new ones, I hit them well. They've been overshadowed by the irons and just how well I've been striking them. But again, getting back to what would be my favorite club is my driver. And normally I've been so weak on my driver, but I guess practice makes perfect because I have been practicing. And I've been practicing with the driver, and I've been keeping it in play 14 out of 15 holes. And I've been hitting it down into the middle in distances. I've been flying things here as of late in places I've never been. And so, yeah, it's the Maverick Sub-Zero and 10.5 degree, and I've got it set for a draw. And I'm using the Acra FX Red 2.0. And I'm down to 44.5 inches with it. And I've got no weight in it, but I just love the way that it feels. It comes through, and I know exactly what it's going to do the minute I strike it. So there it is. Kevin from Scotland. Here we go. The Ping Eye 200s with True Temper 95s. 2-year-old and the shafts are starting to show some rust spots. The worst is the wedge. Always dried and stored indoors. Well, Kevin, the unfortunate part about it, if I'll make this kind of an akin story. So chrome shafts are akin to chrome bumpers on cars. And if you know that you're getting a rust spot on your bumper, you can get rid of it with, over here, they're called SOS pads. They might be called Brillo over there. And what it is, it's a steel wool pad that has a detergent in it, and they're about the size of a briquette. And you get them wet and you just scrub it ever so slightly and it eats the rust right away and it makes them good. And then you need to wax it. The unfortunate part about it is the damage is already done. And so you're going to, if it's just a little teeny weeny spot, is it going to be something that's right now? No. But in the future, it's going to be shaft breakage. Okay. It's just going to happen. Is it right now with just little bitty spots? Chances are no. Because why is it doing that? Because the inside of the shaft's rusted and it's breaking through the chrome, just like it was on a bumper, right? Because the inside gets all rusty and nasty and it breaks itself through the bumper. And once it's there, you're pretty much done and you have to start all over. That's the unfortunate part about that. But, I do like the XP95s. They do work very, very well for folks. And the i200s, that's a pretty stout setup you have. The unfortunate part is that you want to clean them off, put a layer of like just regular car wax. It doesn't have to be anything special. In fact, probably the cheaper, the better. What they have over here, it's called turtle wax, the hard shell turtle wax, nothing special. And you can put that on there and it'll seal it away. And the only time it wears off, I would probably do it about every third round. And it's just to cover it up just so you're sealing it. And that's really what it is. All right. Dave's got a question. Well, Dave, I don't. I'm not strong with Mitsubishi right now, but the CK version, what I understand is of the CKs, let's see. I know the AVs. The AVs seem to be a little more friendlier in the tip, and that's really the only thing I know versus that. I think the CKs came out for players, and the AVs might be for the average golfer, but don't hold me to it. But that's what I think. Now, I have used the I have a series of the 10 size in the orange, and we have blue and red in some of the hybrids, and in the Mizuno hybrids, and they are just excellent. And I have I have a silver it's the AV silver in the Mavericks, in the Maverick hybrids, and they are doing very, very well. So they must have stumbled onto a design that works really well for that kind of stuff. All right. Tommy Armors. Tommy Armors. Well, you got to give love to the Tommy Armor 845, the Silver Scott. That design has stood the test of time. It's just a really neat little cavity back. It hits just about every mark. It's not too wide, not too thin, not too tall, not too short. It hits every single mark. And for a cast club, it is done very, very well. The mistake they made is when they tried to make those TI 100s or 1000s, and they made them out of titanium. Those things were horrible. All right. The part where they've always struggled has been in the woods, and anything past the irons, they've struggled. Now, it could be from popularity, it could be from design, it could be for a lot of different things. And yes, I have seen where they have started making a resurgence. They've started designing it. What was it, about a year ago, maybe? Year and a half ago? They came out, and Golf Spy gave them a lot of love. and it was from their testing. I don't know who their testers are. And I did have to give them a little bit of credit because the driver actually looked pretty cool. The design on the irons looked more modern. Now, does that mean it's going to hit it better? No, but sometimes they do, right? And so you got to ask yourself that. And I think a putter out of the kit actually did pretty good because it was a bit of a milled face putter. And if you're a blade guy, it was probably going to work pretty good. Now, I haven't seen anything from them since that time frame. So it's been a while. I don't know anything about their manufacturing, but typically you've got to kind of give them one of those and kind of give them a side eye kind of look because you just don't know where they're made. And that lends an open door to fakes. And so you got to be very, very, very careful there. So that's what's happening. All right, there's Brian. Here's his 3-wood. A 5-wood Adams Tour, huh? And where are you digging these things up, man? During college golf, Brian. Based on what I'm seeing here that you're hitting, dude, you're doggone. I probably need to take some lessons from you. But we'll see. That'd be cool to see that one come in there. I'm going to do a little video on that and putting it together and talking about older clubs. That probably would be the way to go. All right. Let's see. Go back up here. Here we are. Speaking of grips, do air-blown grips have a tendency to move around? I've heard that, but if done right, they should not. All right. So what we have is at the end of the shaft. What we miss is at the end of the shaft, guys have been putting on painter's tape, right, or even just regular tape, and then what they'll do is they just dip the grip in just every touch of solvent, and then on they go, and there you are. And those guys that have been doing that have never said a word to me about them sliding. In fact, that's pretty much their go-to way of doing it from now on. I was to talk to that, and I probably ought to try and get a Golf Pride guy on here. When I was going through this, that the size of, we talk about the size of the grip, the standard grip. If this was a 600 core and this was a 600 butt, and you slid it on after you put the tape on, that would be a standard grip, assuming it was a standard grip. Now, with that, now, when they started blowing on grips, we stopped using tape. Some guys were using tape because they were under the same impression I was, in that you needed that tape in order to make that size. Well, then so the chicken or the egg argument starts, and whether or not you need that, you need that tape. And the guys from Golf Pride said no. I'm making sure I'm still plugged in. And I don't understand that one because I don't think anything stopped in the designing. So we'll have to do that. And we'll take a look. But as far as spinning or moving, I've heard tell they have, but it's not like, oh, they blew on the grips, oh, they're going to move. No, it's not like that. But in just every instance, just like throwing them on with solvent, every once in a while, you're going to get one like that. Jeff's in West Des Moines. Well, then if you get around, then you know about what I'm talking about in the Atlantic, Oakland area. Just not too far from about a 30-minute ride from Council Bluffs. And and then Robin and I lived on the total other side. Right. Because of that, we'll say, what do I think of the piering of a shaft? Seems great for reducing dispersion. Well, the answer to that would be yes. So shaft piering, when we've talked about spine and flow in the past. And what I say to this is the piering is the computerized version of spine and flow being analog. So case in point, I'll use my watch, right? So if that is analog, then the ones that have the digital, that would be, that those are always perceived to be more, right? In the way of a clock, an analog clock versus the atomic clock, and that's kind of the spine and flow versus puring. Now, in either case, no matter what you do, in either case, it all lends itself to the assembly. All right. If you don't put it together properly, it's for naught. Whether you do spine and flow or whether you do puring. And the pure guys, they mark the shaft and they give you a line. So now you need to get it on there and make sure. Now, now that there's puring people out there, he's franchised the puring machine, and he's franchised it out. And I've had lines that were to go on the bottom, and I have had lines that were to go at 90 degrees to that. And so whenever somebody sends me pured shafts, I still flow them myself to make sure they're where they need to go. And if they're kind of weird, then I don't. I'll call the customer and we'll talk about where they have to go, because sometimes it's just not the right spot. So that's something to consider. But the idea of puring it, yes, the idea of puring it is good. Out here, I've got guys that will hit a golf club that's not pured, and then I've got guys that could care less. So it's just, but if it helps you relax and swing more consistently, then by golly, that's it. Have I had any problems with the IC 2000 from Bob Smith? I can't say that I have, but I do know Royal Onyx, and no, I'm not going to use it. It does have a high breaking point, but it's a crystallus or a crystalline. It's not even called a glue, and I have tried it. But honestly, it was a confidence thing. I just did not believe that it was going to work. And when reputation is on the line and all that kind of stuff, I don't do it. Now, we've had some guys, I will say, in the group of guys that I ran with, we've all gave it a kind of a shot, and we kind of looked at it and said, well, yeah, it does work, but we like the other stuff better. I guess it might be old guy stuff. But yeah, it's out there. Yes, some people have used it. Have I heard of any failures? Not that I'm aware of, to be honest. And then with a 250-degree melting point, you might end up damaging some clubs trying to take them apart. But then again, if you put them together, you probably don't need to worry. So there's where it is on Royal Onyx. I didn't know Bob Smith had them, though. That's good information to know. I'll go look it up. All right. Doug's in from Florida. Doug, you're hoping everybody's safe. Heck, when you watch the news, man, that place is, when you cross the state line, it's like you're in The Walking Dead or something. So hopefully you guys are doing very, very well. I really want to get down there. We have some good friends that we visit in January that are traveling. They're I don't know what they call it. If the snowbird comes up here or goes down to Florida during the winter, are they called sunbirds when they go up north from Florida? That's something to answer. But yeah, they're up there sunbirding. So there we go. John. And you're from Pinehurst. Well done, man. I'd really, really like to get down there one day and play in that area. I am told it's very, very nice. Very, very, relaxing. That's pretty much the best way to describe it, and that's the way I'd like to be. All right, so how do you remove a shim or a shaft weight from a hosel? Well, a couple of things. Now, a shim it can be multiple things, but the thing I use, it's like this. It's made out of brass, so it's got all these fingers on it. And if they're stuck in there, what I do is I tend to heat the inside with a butane torch, and then the outside so it'll break loose. And then I'll pick at it with an awl, an AWL, or some kind of, you can use a small screwdriver until you can get one picked out, and then you grab it with some needle nose pliers and pull it out. Now, in a more brutish fashion, you could just jam a drill in there and just pull it right around and just see if it'll wrap around the drill and pull it back out. That's one way. It's two ways, actually. So there you go. The other one is shaft weights. Shaft weights are a different animal. So a shaft weight is basically one of two items. It is a weight about this big around it's a weight with a pin sticking through it. And this normally sits on the bottom of the hosel, and that goes up through the shaft. Or it is a bigger one for a steel shaft. If it's about that big around, it fits in the bigger part of it. And it normally has a little bit of a divot at the tip that you get to see when you're in there. So what I tend to do there in both cases is, again, I get heat going on the outside of the hosel just like I'm doing a shaft pull. Even if I pull the shaft and it's there, I do it again. And then I run it around. I run the heat around on the inside. And then I bring out that awl and I put it in there, and then I warble it out. That's a technical term, warble. And I warble it out. And you keep getting it moving and moving and moving. And eventually what will happen is, first couple of times it'll slip around and it won't be very good. And then you finally you'll find it and it starts moving around in there and moving around and moving around. And then you start tapping it down. And more heat, more wobbling, tapping down. More heat, more wobbling, tapping down. Until if that pin gets up there, then you can grab it with needle nose and pull it out. If the other one doesn't, what you can do is you tap it out. And if it just gets to a point where you just run out all patience, you can hit it with a drill right into the center. And eventually what it'll do is it'll catch and it'll spin it, and then you can pull it right back out. But that's what we do. All right. Usually love, do you have a camera shot? Well, Rob, that means you're doing it right, Rob. And in just a little bit of torpedo level, I've got a bright green one about the color of this of that brand, that thing going across there. And it's been with me since the very beginning. A couple of rubber bands and you're good to go. That's what it is. All right. So it just goes to show you that club guys can be universal no matter where they're at. Chad, is lead tape only good for weight? Or placebo? So lead tape is made for adding weight to a wood, or I'm sorry, is adding weight to a golf club. It can be a putter, it can be an iron, a wedge, a driver, fairway, any one of them. All right. Where that lead tape is placed is where it's really, really important. Okay. That's where you can impact the flight of the ball, take some spin off, just all kinds of stuff. It's really quite neat little stuff. Now, the thing is, will one strip of tape make a big difference in your play? No. What normally you're doing is you're adding tape for feel, that swing weight feel, and then some cases you're adding it to try and help you tweak the club. So for this one, if Brian wasn't such a stellar golfer and we wanted to aid in the draw, we would start putting lead tape in about this particular area. But if we get close, there's ridges and stuff, so you got to be very careful on how you place it. And when you go to put lead tape on, I use the end of my wooden handled knife just to spread it around and make it nice and even and take all the air bubbles out. All right. If you were wanting to take some, make it hit a little bit lower, take some spin off, I would just run it really close to the face underneath here. Now, on an iron, that's not very good because as you hit, it's just going to wear off some of the stuff. So you got to be careful with this stuff. Now, if you just wanted swing weight and you didn't want to impact it, you could put it here, and vice versa if you wanted to stop drawing it up in here. And that's the way it goes. Now, in a putter, you can put it into a cavity and stuff because it's mostly going to be for weighting anyway. So there you are. Got another Michigan guy. Well done, Scott. Thank you for checking in. We are all over the map, and that is the best thing. All right. No. So my buddy from Sweden, no. So 18 degrees is about the average for a 5-wood. The just like we were talking about here in this guy, this is 13, where the average is between 13 to 15, depending on the maker, and the 3 or the 5-wood starts at around 15, goes to 18, right? You can get up that high. And then that 4-wood is in that cross section. So somewhere around, uh, 18 could be 15 is the low end number. The 18 is the normal number. So right around, 15 to 16 is more 4-woodish, I would say, and be close because they don't change too much. So, but no, I wouldn't say that's too bad. A half a degree, that's not going to make any difference. And G410, that's a nice club too. Is this one yours? Or did you put that, was it the smoke yellow in it? Or did you go with something else? Okay, Brock, what do we got? Can you weigh in on the impact lie adjustments have on offset? Does bending upright increase or bending flat reduce that? If so, no. So, I don't know where this is coming from because I actually get asked that. I've been asked if I can bend the offset out of a club. Now I've seen where they'll take a again. Well, no. Let me get an iron here real quick. We'll use Wilson. So right here is the offset. That's the difference between the leading edge of the hosel and the leading edge of the leading edge of the base of the club. And I've had people ask if I could bend the offset out of it. And I have seen people take. So what you do when you go to grab a club, the clamp gets on here like this, and you pull one way or another that way. If you want to do loft, you pull this way. And if you're really, really talented, you can do a combo and you can go this way or that way or whatever, and you can get two at a time. It's kind of a twofer. Now, what I have seen is where they'll grab it instead of like this, but they'll grab it sideways and try and pull it this way. I don't know anybody that's been successful doing that. Okay. I don't know anybody that's been successful doing that. So now when you pull it down, does it pull the offset out of it? No. It just changes your lie angle. And going up, does it make it more? No. So, and lie angles are vitally important the shorter the club becomes. That's in wedges and in short irons, very, very important. Mid irons and above, from vitally important to very important. And then in the driver, you can't do anything about them anyway. So whatever it is what it is. But the lie angle can be significant. Now, offset, we all know offset's good to help you get your the offsets to help get the club closed at impact, and it just gives you that split second, right? Now, I have seen, this is something really kind of crazy. So I have seen, the greater the offset, what they say, it makes the club more playable, more forgiving. And that can be true. And I've had guys in here, first-year golfers, would look at an offset and set this club in such a fashion that it's just almost unhittable. And then I give them something like this, because this is the V6. This thing is a great forged club, but is very much for a player, standard lofts and stuff. And I set this down in front of them, and they hit it like they've been golfing for years. So it's very much eye dominancy type stuff. And what I mean by that is the way that the cosmetics appear. Now, they very well may be pushing off the right. Could be some other things going on. However, that's what that's for. So there they go. So to make a short story long, Brock, the answer is no. Sure out wedges. I tell you what, they didn't have a great following, but they were actually pretty good wedge, particularly if you're in fluffy conditions. or you're a guy that just comes straight down with the club, I mean, it's really, really nice. Okay. Well, I think even, Randy, that's true to be sure, but sorry, the even if you do play in the rain, you could get away with it as long as you're drying them out directly afterwards. I think you get away with that, or you could do, or you could do what I do, and I just play graphite. Here we go. Well, rifling inside of shafts. So if you look here, we'll go with this. All these shafts are KBS. And KBS, who we all know, is Kim Braley. Kim Braley and his dad were part of the rifle shaft company. And they were the ones that really introduced a stepless shaft. They're the ones that really made stepless shafts a thing. Were they out before? I'm sure that they were, but so basically they reverse engineered. They took a step shaft, basically pulled it inside out, stepless on the outside, stepped on the inside. At least that's what they would claim. Now you look on the inside, do you see very many steps? No, you actually saw kind of a rifling. And that's what they do. Now, in this one, the KBS, it's basically the other way around. They put the rifle shaft on the inside and the steps on the outside. What did that do? And the way that they put the steps on there. Now, what does rifling do on the inside of a shaft? I'm not even sure that they, what I know about rifling is much like a gun barrel, and you have a cutter on a cutter, and it could have a piece of paper on it or not. And what you do is you circle that guy in there, and it basically bores out your bore, and it gives you that rifling. So along with other things, it creates a spin for the bullet. What it would do for a shaft, the only thing I could think of what it would do for a shaft is to keep it constant. And that would be the only thing I know that it does. Whoa, we got a lot going on here. All right. What are your thoughts, experience on pro shelf inserts? Okay, so just to make it long, I just did a video on that. If you go back about 2 videos ago, in fact, it was 2 videos ago, I actually put Pro Soft inserts in a club. Go out and check the video out. As far as actually reducing vibration, I didn't hit them because they weren't left-handed, so I can't really tell you anything. But the thing is, anything that you put in there will do some level of vibration reduction, right? Whether you put in a piece of softer material, you put in a piece of rubber that's a regular hard, or we'll call it hard, but it's a more flexible rubber, one that will go in there and mold to the side, and it will do it as well. This is just an inexpensive way of getting to the same spot. Now, and as far as vibration reduction, no, it's never going to be 100% at all. But what it will be is a factor lower. And Sensicor was a factor lower, and they were probably the best. There's these other ones that were made of kind of a rubberish, almost clay-like stuff, and it just went right into the back. Those things really worked. And I would say these came in a 3rd place. Glenn's in Philadelphia, Ohio. Philly, Ohio. All right. Paul from Toronto. Hello, buddy. Welcome. As I'm getting older, losing distance, mostly my irons, playing Titleist 962s. Oh, my. Swing speed is around 80. Would you recommend senior shafts? Paul, I'd recommend a new set of irons. All right. The DCIs from Titleist were nice irons to be sure. Even if you upgraded to whatever the newest version of this would be, you would automatically pick up a club. It's almost purely based on the loft of the club. All right. But that's where I would go. And I'm getting notes from the peanut gallery. But if your swing speed with an iron's around 80, that means you're around 90 with a driver. That puts you at the bottom of the R flex. So maybe something in the just like our friend from Scotland was having those XP95 type shafts in a regular flex, and see what happens there, if that's what you can do. But I would seriously, if you're into the DCIs, look at the APs. I do. I do single plane golfers. The funny part is the fitting is pretty much the same when it comes to length. It's all in how they swing. So it works out pretty good. That is correct, sir. Adrian, I use air blown grips. I use hairspray to get them on, and it dries sticky. Never had one move. So there you go. Now we've got one from the group. That's exactly what we're here for, is to figure out what we're doing. So there's something, a little bit of hairspray, and it gets on it, because that stuff is sticky. Woo! I use it to. You ever had those clear grips when you put on a putter grip, and you can have a design underneath, and you wrap it around the shaft, and then you got this clear grip, and we used to fill it full of hairspray, and you would slide it on, and then it would dry clear, and that's what it do. So that was pretty cool. There you go. Senior shot 74 and still playing. You are the man, Brian. Ooh, plus handicap, Brian. That'd be awesome if you can get to a plus handicap when you're. And right now, if I could figure out a way to stop three putting, I would be a happy man. I've gone from 4 or 5 around to 1 or 2 around, so that's a plus. And with my two lost balls on 2 holes, one right after the other. Oh my gosh, I did figure out the putter as well, so I think we'll be all right there. All right, here we go. What's the best way to get part of a broken screw out of my hybrid head? The best way to get a broken screw out of my hybrid head. A broken screw head out of my hybrid head cavity. All right, we'll address this in 2 ways. Number one, number one, we're going to assume that you have an adjustable screw in your in the hosel area of your hybrid head, and depending on how it's broken, normally what holds that thing into the cavity is nothing more than a rubber O-ring. So what you can do is take a screwdriver that will fit into the hosel and just push down through it, and then just pull it out the bottom. That should do you just fine. If it's a weight that's in the cavity area of the hybrid or in the bottom of the sole, and it's broken, I'm not sure how it would be broken. But if it is, it takes a torque wrench, and you should be able to get it out. But I'm not sure about where any more screws would be. Hopefully that helps. Dave, is the GolfWorks Max Strength Tour Set bead epoxy any good, or do you have used any epoxy? Dave, so I almost exclusively use the GolfWorks epoxy, and I have 3 different kinds. I have the 24-hour set, the 30-minute set, and the 7-minute set, or the 5-minute set, they're going to say. And I use the 5-minute set for putters. And if somebody has to have something right this very second, and I give them a warning, and then I will use the 30-minute set for maybe extensions, or another one that if I'm trying to make something and I can trust it. But the 24 hours is normally what I lean on, and I let it go for 24 hours. You like that? This is a glass from Ben Shot, and they're out of Wisconsin. American made. It's got the Titleist golf ball. Let's see. There we go, Titleist golf ball, and that's it. And it's Glenfiddich, and this is at the end of the day for me. Rob, my torpedoes level. Learned everything I know. Oh, baloney, Rob. Come on. That's nice of you to say, but come on. Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm sure the way that you swing your driver, if you're looking at those types of shafts, that 5-wood goes plenty far. The Ping Tour shaft, good. I hope it works well. Camilio. So, can a fairway wood shaft or a hybrid shaft fit in a driving iron? The fairway wood shaft, probably not. Well, it can. It's going to be small. You'll need to put a shim. The hybrid shaft, yes. The hybrid shaft is typically the same diameter as an iron as a whole, and you can put that in there. You can put the fairway wood shaft in it. You just need to make sure that you've got a shim in it to take up the rest of the space. Don't throw more glue at it. It will just break or come apart, and that's not what we want. Okay? I do not. I do not have any Iomix laying around. I had one putter grip, I think, and it's already gone. Don't have any of them. I'm not even sure if are they still around. Every once in a while I see them pop up, but they weren't nearly as dominant now as they once were. Oregon, sir, thank you for coming on. Russ, I think we're going to have a good time, buddy. Very well may need to do that. For what?
Minutes.
4 minutes. Oh, man, the gallery's on me now. Any idea of a putter grip made in the USA? I want to honor the guy who designed and made this putter. He is an active duty Air Force. Hoorah. And I get the putter head he designed and have to shaft and put a grip on it. Made in the USA grip. That's a tough one. I don't know if I'm aware if there's any made in the USA ones. Oh, let me think. If we go through the random grips, you have Golf Pride, you have Lampkin, you have Royal, you have Win, you have Super Stroke. There's also Star Grip. I believe Star Grip's made in the USA. And I think they're in Arizona. And you may check out Pure Grip as well, because I think they can make them here. Those are the two I would use. And they're all rubber. Yeah, I think you could do that. Give them a call and see. And that's where I would start. There are some other ones out there, but they have Australian leather on them, and they're quite pricey, but obviously they're Australian leather, so they're probably not made here. I think if there's another one out there. There's a couple aftermarket ones, but typically those are made in China or Japan or Taiwan or something like that. But yeah, try the Pure or Star Grip. I believe, in fact, I'm fairly certain Star is made in the USA, and they have a putter grip, and it's actually kind of nice, and it will wear forever. Okay. So, and you can try that out. They have one that's called the Big Dog, I think. It's like trying to grab a hot dog bun. It's huge. All right. Shin. There you go. Here's a putter grip. There's somebody else that's talking about putter grips that are really, really nice. All right. So, guys, here we are. We've gotten to our hour. Oh, look at here. Aaron finally made it in. Well done, Aaron. In fact, we were just getting ready to put the hold on it. So, So hopefully we can, take a chance. There's a lot of good questions. Some guys were actually answering some questions for me too, so that's a good thing as well. And Toronto again. All right. So, okay, guys, it's now 6:30. I've done my hour with you. Again, thank you, guys. Thank you a bunch. Scotland, right? Sweden, UK, Canada, all over the U.S. It's just, again, I'm just absolutely amazed at the fact that you guys want to come on here and actually talk golf with me. And hopefully we started getting a little bit more stuff added into this thing. So hopefully we can have some guests on eventually, and then we can really have some good discussions. So as always, let's see your scores. Go low.